Welcome and thank you for joining me tonight. Find yourself a cozy place. Maybe you're already in bed, tucked in and ready to drift away. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let go of the day's worries. Tonight, I'll be telling you a story about stepping away from the noise of the world and finding peace in the unknown. Allow yourself to relax, let your thoughts settle, and let this tale guide you into a restful sleep. If you enjoy this story, or if you'd like to hear more, please comment and subscribe so you can get notified when a new story comes out. The morning light filtered through the blinds, soft and golden. But to James, it felt like an interrogation. The world outside his window, cars honking, screens flashing, people rushing, felt disjointed, like a song played out of tune. Something was wrong, though he couldn't pinpoint what. It wasn't just the news, the deadlines, or the exhaustion. It was the feeling that life itself had been set to fast forward, leaving him behind. James closed his laptop, its glow too harsh for his restless mind. He had read article after article, searching for answers, but none satisfied him. He had spent years building a career, a reputation, a routine. And yet, he was lost. A realization hit him. He wasn't looking for an answer. He was looking for an escape. And so that night, he made a decision, one that felt both reckless and freeing. He would leave it all behind and move to the unknown part of the woods, off-grid, where silence was still silence and time was something he could finally hold in his hands. His boots crunched against the gravel as he stepped away from his car, the only man-made thing in sight. He had parked miles from his destination, unwilling to bring anything that tethered him to his past life. The weight of his backpack was heavy, but his heart felt lighter than it had in years. The first few days were serene. The trees whispered instead of roared. The wind carried no conversations, only the quiet hum of nature. James spent his days setting up shelter, gathering food, learning the patterns of the land. He was alone, yet for the first time, he felt present. But solitude had its own challenges. The nights were long, filled with unfamiliar sounds. The crack of a branch, the distant howl of something unseen. His mind played tricks on him, whispering doubts in the dark. What if you fail? What if the world forgets you? What if you forget yourself? Then came the storm, a relentless downpour that turned the soil to sludge and his shelter to a leaking ruin. He scrambled in the night, reinforcing his tarp, trying to keep dry, but the cold seeped into his bones. The panic crept in, a reminder that nature had no regard for his grand escape. The morning after was harsh. Everything was soaked. His firewood, his clothes, even his resolve. He stood there, exhausted, wondering if he had made a mistake. Was this the price of peace? Then he heard it. The slow, rhythmic dripping of water from the leaves, the soft rustle of creatures emerging after the storm. The forest wasn't angry. It was simply being. And for the first time, James understood. He wasn't running away. He was learning to exist. Days passed, then weeks. He grew stronger both in body and in mind. He learned to read the sky, to listen to the wind, to trust himself. He had fought the urge to return to the world he once knew, but each day in the wild, he felt less like a visitor and more like a part of it. One day, while exploring deeper into the forest, James stumbled upon an old abandoned cabin nestled between towering pines. Its walls were worn by time, the roof half collapsed, but inside he found remnants of another life, rusty tools, a faded journal, a fire pit long extinguished. Flipping through the pages of the journal, he read stories of another wanderer, someone who had once sought refuge in the same untamed wilderness. Their words spoke of challenges he had yet to face, Harsh winters, prowling predators, the isolation that could turn a man's mind against itself. Determined to make the cabin livable, James spent days repairing it, scavenging wood and reinforcing its structure. As he worked, he felt a connection to the unknown author, a shared understanding of what it meant to leave the world behind. Yet, there was a quiet ache beneath that understanding. A part of him had thought he would miss out on something or someone, that the world would move on without him. But as the days passed, he realized that he was almost content. One evening, as he rested against the cabin's doorway, he let his mind wander to a love he had almost had. She had been someone who understood him, someone who had once said she dreamed of escaping too. They had spent hours talking about what life could be, simpler, freer, untethered. But when the time came, he left alone. Did she ever think of him? Did she wonder if he had truly gone? A part of him wished she were here, watching the sunset with him, feeling the same quiet peace he now felt. Driven by this thought, James fashioned a small message in the journal he had found, carving words onto an empty page. "If you ever come looking, know that I found what we were searching for." He left it there in case fate ever brought her this way. But as the days passed, an idea took root in his mind. What if he made one last trip back, just to see if she would come with him? If she had ever truly dreamed of leaving the chaos behind, maybe, just maybe, she would say yes. Packing light, James made the journey back to the city. It felt more foreign than ever, the noise jarring, the lights too bright. He found her where he last saw her, sitting in the same cafe, lost in thought. When she looked up and met his eyes, there was a flicker of something. Recognition, longing, maybe even hope. "I left," he said simply, "but I came back to see if you still wanted to go." She studied him, as if searching for the truth in his words. Then slowly she smiled. "Take me there." And with that, they left the world behind, together. One night, as he sat by his fire outside the cabin, he heard something, a low growl in the distance. His pulse quickened. Gripping his knife, he scanned the darkness. The sound came closer, branches snapping underfoot. Then, from the shadows, a pair of glowing eyes emerged. A wolf, cautious yet unafraid. It stared at him, testing his presence, before slinking away into the night. One evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, casting amber light across the forest floor, James sat by his fire, watching the flames dance. He thought of the man he had been before, stressed, uncertain, always searching. And now? Now he simply was. Perhaps one day he would return, perhaps not. But for now, in this quiet, untamed world, he was exactly where he was meant to be.